Nah. Nope. Okay. Right, dude. This intro is absolutely wild. First of all, listen to the motivation via the sound that the editor uses to start the track. We get a perfect pan as the motorcycle goes in front of the frame, and we get a visual distraction and an audio distraction that allows the song to start in such a smooth fashion. It's brilliant. Hi, my name is Jordan Orm. I'm a professional music video editor for artists like these guys. Dude, the wet socks and sandals, I can't. Have a effing nice day. Okay, all right. As a viewer here, I was a little bit confused spatially because they're breaking the 180 rule all over the place. So he walks in, is facing this way, stands this way, but then this guy's facing the same direction as him. He's still facing this way. So I'm confused about where this close-up's coming from. This close-up is coming out of nowhere. He's still facing that way, and then all of a sudden he starts facing the opposite way, which in filmmaking is a big no-no. You want your characters to be facing the same way on the screen throughout the entire scene. That's bars. Bars. And he drops this gum. Boy's dripping so much that this very strategic drip happens, and then the shot is complete and we can cut away from it. And then right here is when we finally realize what's happening in the scene. So this whole entire scene, we're like spatially confused, except for right here when we realize, oh, okay, he is facing screen right, the cashier is facing screen left. Now we can finally understand what's happening. And then we get our transition to where the song starts. And look at this transition. They utilize the flashing of the light back here to mess with the lighting in the scene, and then we just screen replace the background, but not the entire thing, just the top part of the wall and ceiling above the shelves, and it creates a perfect match cut. Okay. When you're listening to a beat and you're editing, adding effects on a snare is a great thing to do. They do this throughout this entire music video. And right here, we just have a moment where the camera is just whipping. I call this flashes. Whenever I'm editing, I have a whole sequence of shots just like this called flashes B-roll. And it's just random moments where the camera is just whipping side to side. And we use that as a transition to get into the close-up. And we put that transition right on the snare because the snare is a big abrasive. So any kind of visual craziness matching with the just kind of, it feels natural to watch. So put your effects, put your transitions on snares. It feels nice. Whip. And we have a hidden cut right here. Hidden cut. Okay. This is gonna be the theme for the entire video. The amount of hidden cuts in here are absolutely ridiculous. We could start a hidden cut counter if we wanted. How many hidden cuts can we point out? I might miss some, but the strategy that this editor is employing is finding any alike still that we can and making a cut out of it, creating an insane amount of match cuts. So in order to get from this section to this section, a hidden cut. And then the disrespect here. Crazy. Crazy. Dude, what? This is wild. We just got a new Factor box. Let's freaking go. If you don't know what Factor is, they help you in the food department by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian approved meals right to your doorstep. Sometimes when I'm locked in and editing, I skip meals, all right? It's not good, but Factor really helps me avoid doing that. I'm able to grab a meal quick, get back to being creative, and I don't have to sacrifice my health in the process. And if I'm eating different for some reason, I can include options like keto, calorie smart, vegan, and veggie options, which is great. And Factor now offers a ton of snack options like breakfast, smoothies, juices, small bites, just to keep me going no matter what the schedule is. Oftentimes I am working out in the mornings and I have a meeting right when I get home, and sometimes I don't have enough time to make a full protein shake. So I just grab a Factor one from the fridge and I'm good to go for my meeting. So head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code JordanOrm50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. That's code JordanOrm50 at factor75.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of orders. Editing language in this scene is completely different from the other scene. We're messing with time. And I wonder if that's because this isn't real. This is maybe an imaginary scene. Maybe this is something that happened in the past. I don't know. We're not really following reality right off the bat. We have a really nice like boom intro shot. It kind of feels like a radio show. It feels like the opening shot, and we get the graphic and everything. We have our guest entering, but now this feels more like found footage. This looks like iPhone footage. You know, it's not a professional looking camera. And he enters the scene twice. Why in the world would they do that? The second one's kind of funny, which I like. It kind of explains his character, how he doesn't really care. Maybe he's just messing around, entering twice. And then we get that character quality confirmed with the way that he just walks in, sits down. There's gum perfectly placed on his Balenciaga boots. But then look at this. Again, when he goes to steal the mic in a disrespectful manner, he walks in, he's at the mic right here. And then we play the shot again where he comes in and he's at the mic. So we have behind the scenes, and then we cut to the actual live camera because it has the graphics on it. And you know, in live recordings, when you're looking at the screen, sometimes it's a little bit delayed from what actual reality is, just because it's got to process, it's got to go through all the cables, and it's just a little bit delayed. So maybe in reality, he pops in, but then when you look at the screen of the live feed, it's a little bit delayed. That would actually make sense. That's crazy attention to detail if that's the case. But if you look at this, if we continue, it's like glitching out. Maybe they're trying to turn the feed off. I'm not really sure. Maybe he's like so disturbed. It's a very interesting editing choice. I'm wondering if it's because they didn't have enough time to get through the whole shot of him coming in, saying his lyrics, and then getting dragged out of the scene. So maybe they just jump cut through it and decided to fix that problem by creating an editing language where they're just messing with time. He's just being a menace in the studio. There's another hidden cut. Right here, hidden cut. Did you see that? Another hidden cut. They're everywhere, bro. They're freaking everywhere. So anytime there's a hidden cut, it honestly feels like it's one shot. So this shot feels like it's one shot. But the camera movement is so crazy that it works. So right here, we have this wide shot where they're zooming in, and then as he lifts his head up, right on that downbeat, it's a new shot. But everything just feels like one shot. Okay, FPV drone. This is wild. I had no idea I could make that sound. All right, let's get back to this. This shot was one of the most impressive to me. I believe that all of the gum here is VFX, but the fact that you can have both chaos happening in the foreground and the background, and then you rack focus or you zoom between them, it creates so much more intrigue than just filming one thing. This creates depth. It elaborates on the story as if he was in two places at one time. It's just fascinating. The zoom is so long. Like, look how far they zoom in. There's so many things we could talk about. I'm also noticing that this editor chooses to show complete unnecessary shots. Like, they don't need to be there, but they have this certain effect that gives you a tiny bit more context. Right here, like this shot is so short. It's hardly there. We get this wide shot that just shows us context, and we get a full body movement. Oftentimes if you're editing dance, you want to be on wide shots for big full body movements, but then on close-ups for smaller facial expressions and smaller movements. So we have this big, huge movement. And this shot is so quick. It's literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 frames, which is like nothing. It's like a 1/6 of a second. It's barely there, but it creates context and it shows that full body movement even for a split second. And then right here, again, coming out of that dance break, we have this little tiny section, again, for 6 frames. That's crazy. They literally had 6 frames on the intro of that dance and 6 frames on the outro, just for an effect. So the dance move here is really just rolling your body back and moving your head down. It creates a lot of movement. And if you play that in the wide shot, it doesn't feel as violent as in a close-up. So because we already have context, we've seen the full body movement, we bookend the shot on this little tiny crazy head roll movement. And you can see his jacket flare up. You get a ton of chaos. The camera movement's crazy, and it just bookends the section really, really well. 6 frames at the beginning, 6 frames right here at the end. Oh, he put his foot down. Again, a camera whip on the snare. Whip. What is he saying, bro? Why was his face blurred out? Maybe it's just fun to blur things out sometimes. I know he was flipping that girl off earlier in the radio show, you know. Not really the most Christian behavior. He does look angry, I will say. More hidden cuts, bro. All right, but first of all, let's talk about this transition getting from the first chorus into verse 2. First of all, the fact that we get an outfit change with a sort of match cut in the scene. So he's pushing open some doors with his black outfit, and then we show some flashes of a new outfit also pushing open doors, maybe the same doors, I'm not sure. But it's a great motivated way to get from scene to scene. We get fast cuts on the transition. So if you're transitioning from chorus to verse or verse to bridge, any kind of fast cuts transitions are very appropriate there. Now we have Dutch angles on all of these shots, and we get some really strong lines with the door opening. And so because there are Dutch angles flashed on top of each other, they kind of create an X. Our brain's just seeing a ton of really strong leading lines and contrast right in the middle of the screen. So when you just watch it, it kind of gets this like weird X overlay, which is nice. If it all looked the same, there wouldn't be any contrast and the flashes wouldn't have any effect. But because the angle of the camera is different, we can separate all the images in our brains. All right, I'm really sweaty. Hold on, I need to like cool off or something. Get some air in here. I'm not the only one who is damp. Not afraid. Hidden cut right there. Boom. Go hit that YEONJUN GGUM. That is maybe one of the best dance sequences I've seen this year. That was crazy. Before we get to that absolute madness, let's look at this cut on the downbeat of the chorus. So if we frame by frame the cut of this chorus, he sprays us with water. We are now soaked, and the camera starts to veer off to the right. Now we get a ton of blur right here. This is not what it would look like in camera if the camera was just shaking. The editor actually took the time to maybe duplicate the shot, add some motion blur in post, and it really just helps blend the two shots together because we're cutting on the blur. So you can either just find two shots that are blurry and put them together, or you can create it in post like this. Hit that That is so crazy. That move is so crazy. The speed ramp though. The smoothest way to go in and out of slow-mo is to actually use speed ramps and start the shot fast, go to slow-mo, and then end the shot fast. So you can see that here on this gum shot. We speed ramp in, now it's slow motion, and then we speed ramp out, and the spinning leads to this insane move, bro. How did he get down and up so fast? How did he do that? Franklin, how did he do that? Right there, hidden cut. The editor forced a zoom camera right here. If you look at this, you see how it's not just a smooth motion blur. You see how there's just a bunch of repeated dudes over on the left. If you ever see that, it's one of two things. Either they made it in post, it's fake motion blur, or they had LED flickery lights on set and they're actually flashing, and so it'll create that kind of motion blur. But I'm pretty sure the editor faked a zoom because the zoom matches perfectly on this snare. Dude. Oh my gosh. I love flashing. You may be wondering, how on earth did they do all those crazy flashing cuts? Like, the editor must be insane. How did they make it happen? This is their logic, all right? It's very simple. A lot of the work is done for them because there's a ton of flashing strobing lights on set. So the chaos is already created for them. They don't really have to work too hard. So the editor just found similar shots, put them together, and just let it play out. It's almost like playing a matching game. Now, the thing that is really genius, which is a lot harder than just matching shots together, is actually when he throws the sweatshirt down at the end, we cut back to the dance where his finger is down, as if he just threw something down. So it creates a match cut where he's throwing, and then we cut to his finger being down, and then coming back up. Genius. And then of course we do a nice match cut. I think it would have been cool if they did like the same thing that they did in the intro in this shot where they replace the ceiling and kind of do some flashing. That would have been a nice callback, but they didn't do that. This video is so good. This right here is a great time to motivate whip pans because his head is whipping around because he's doing a spin. So that motivates us to start. I mean, it creates motion blur first of all, but then it also motivates a whip pan because his head is turning. So we use a tiny bit of random footage right here. And then we have what's called the classic push effect in Premiere. Now, usually it just pushes images off in a really boring fashion. It's horrible. It's a horrible effect, but if you add motion blur, it looks less bad. But they did that right here. So this whip pan didn't exist. This is a fake whip pan created in post. And it doesn't look the best, but it works. It's fast enough that it works. Then we cut close, and this is a real whip pan. You can tell because the motion blur is diagonal. It looks great. And then we cut again to this. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe this is actually the shot. But they put it on like a screen or light and blend mode, so the light goes through and all the dark parts of the image become transparent. It creates another flashing effect to go with the flashing that's on set in the tunnel. And one thing that I noticed on this shot, it's really funky. Let me play this in slow-mo. Watch this. It's like a little glitch in the middle. They repeated part of the shot. I don't know why. It creates this like kind of glitching effect. It matches the earlier parts of the song, especially in the radio scene. I love the close-up on the ta-ka-ba-da-da-ba-da-da-da-da. It's beautiful. I could talk about this music video forever. Ooh. Now, I think this is really weird, this wipe transition. I think it might be because they use cheesy transitions on like radio shows like this, so maybe they're doing that. Also, it's really weird to cut to this close-up after seeing all the crazy tunnel stuff. You kind of forgot about the radio scene. You don't remember what's going on. So it's kind of nice to show this establishing shot first so our audience can remember, oh yeah, the radio scene, and then show this shot. That makes the most sense. So maybe it was a story thing, maybe it was a stylistic thing. Ooh! I wish that explosion sound effect was a little more present it's like very back in the mix. If you want to learn to become a pro editor, check out my website below. God bless you guys. Peace.